Hi, and welcome to Family on Purpose. We're your hosts, Derek and Gina. Glad you're here today. And today we're talking about what makes a strong home. What makes a strong home and how you can have a strong home so that you are a family on purpose. All right, babe, you ready to dive in?
I'm ready.
Okay, what makes a strong home?
I wrote down a ton of things as I was preparing.
Okay.
So probably like 6 or 7 aspects that I think make a strong home. I think the first one and the primary one is commitment.
Okay.
So
What do you mean?
I think being fully committed to your family, second to God. Like your commitment is to the Lord, and then everyone in the family knows I'm committed to this family. And I think that commitment doesn't have to hinge on each person's, like my commitment does not have to hinge on your commitment. Or if I feel like a child is not fully in or committed, I don't have to play off of that. I can already be, whether or not you're committed or not, I am.
Okay.
And so I think commitment would be my number one thing that would make a strong home.
Commitment. I like it. That didn't make it to my list, but I can see how and why it would, right? I am fully in that our family is our first and most important priority. Sometimes we interchange that with your family, because I believe it's true, are our first and most important disciples. But with commitment, it is, hey, there's God, that's assumed.
Yep.
So in this world, your family needs to be your first and most important priority.
Yeah.
I like it. What else you got on that list? If you wrote lots of stuff, what else do you have?
Well, I'd rather go into your stuff. On commitment, I tagged in a verse because that's what I do. I just go to the word. So Romans 12:10, be devoted to one another in brotherly love. Give preference to one another in honor. And so, like I was saying, my commitment level is not contingent on anyone else's commitment level. So no matter what, I am devoted to you. I'm going to give you preference because I'm committed. Okay. I think faith, shared values. Yep. Did that make it on your list?
It did. It sure did. Family values, or I think one important aspect of a strong family. And kind of the way that I prepared for this was thinking about, okay, what are the families that I know that are strong, that I would consider a strong family? And we didn't even define, as we came up with the topic, what is a strong family?
Yeah.
Right. And we can unpack that. But I just started to pray and think through who do I consider a strong family, and what do they have in common? And one of them was, hey, they have values, which means it is clear what to be strong about.
Yeah, that's good.
I think our family is one of those strong families, and we have 5 family core values. So we know what we should be strong about, and therefore we can be committed and put all of our effort behind those values.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Did it make it on your list?
Did what make it on my list?
Family values?
Yes, I said it first. I said it first.
All right, what about family values? Why did it make it on your list?
I think because it is a shared one, it's shared. And then it says, this is who we are. This is what we stand for. It's like that moral compass in the home. And I think when your family is grounded on God, then one, we're never without hope. We're never without help.
True.
Okay, help us in these situations, God. He is our hope. And then we have that guiding way of showing us this is how we should treat each other. I think the treatment of one another is what makes a strong home. And that didn't make it on my list, but just thinking of it, like, hey, if we have these shared values, these shared morals that we're operating out of and living out of, I think that makes it strong, a family.
Yeah, I think so too. Because if you have shared values, shared morals, shared stuff, and we can talk about what else is shared, but then you understand, and I think it inhibits individualism, selfishness. It goes into the verse in Romans, hey, consider others ahead of yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because as soon as you start considering yourself ahead of others, that leads to selfishness, and then you pull away, relationships are broken, and I'm only doing what's best for me, not what's best for us.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That is good. That is good. Do you want to share more of your list?
Okay, I put relationships. A strong home has strong relationships. I couldn't think of an example of a strong home that had weak or broken relationships. Just, I think they go hand in hand. I think that's every which way around, whether it is a family that has a mom and a dad, that relationship is strong. If it was a single parent family, I think there's still strong relationships between parent and child and between the children.
Yep. I think any model of family, whether it's step parents are involved or children are being raised by grandparents, it's all about relationship within that home.
Yeah.
And so whoever is underneath your home can be a strong home through a relationship.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm thinking through, sometimes homes with trauma, like divorce or grandparents raising grandchildren because there's some trauma or some instant, right, with the parent. Oftentimes those relationships are extra strong because they're all we have.
Yeah.
Hey, we can't control the outside circumstances and all of the pressures or the challenges of the world, but we can hold steadfast to what's inside this home. And it might not be the circumstances inside the home, but we can hold steadfast to the relationships inside this home.
Yep. That's good.
Okay. Hit one on your list.
Okay. So, and maybe these would go under the umbrella of relationship. Cause I put down, communication.
I put communication.
Okay.
Why? You go first.
Why? I don't feel like you can have a relationship without communication. Like, I want to know you. I want to know what makes you tick. I want to know how you're feeling. I want you to know me. I want you to know my feelings. And so I think communication is how and the means to know one another and to work through things is through communication.
It's good.
Why did you put it on your list?
I think generally the same reason. I think it supports relationship. I think it supports family values. I think it supports just the entire home. Without communication, how do you have a pulse check? How do you know what's going on? How do you know who somebody is or what they're about or how they play in? I think communication is absolutely key. Yeah. For me, I default to face-to-face communication. There are some families out there that they communicate a lot through text message. I hear stories and stories of men who are like, oh, I text my wife or I text my kid. Yeah. I'm like, oh man, where were they? Oh, I was in the bedroom and they were in the other bedroom. Yeah. Okay. Hey, that is a mode of communication and maybe it works great for some families. That wouldn't work great for me. But communication is key. I think of in previous decades where there were those cell phones, maybe even landlines or long distance would be challenging. Written word communication. Still, there's a buddy of mine who his in-laws, they developed a relationship through being pen pals and mail communication, communication through the mail. And that built relationship and created a family that has lasted decades and a generation.
Yeah, that's right. I just saw in an article the other day about a mom who said that her son sent her a text to ask her what was for dinner. And she said, he was sitting 10 feet away from me. Like he could have said, hey, mom, what's for dinner? But instead he sends her a text. And we are living in a digital world, and I think communication is something to be fought for. And we've seen like the evolution of communication, right? Like it was face to face and then phone calls and now it's going to text and maybe now you just hit something with a thumbs up, thumbs down, heart, whatever. And so communication is definitely something to fight for and to have a purpose, be on purpose with it in your family.
Okay. So talking about why the kid texts his mom or why communication, I'm sure you've heard and I've heard why communication has moved from calling to text is because it's more controllable. I know what I'm going to say and I can kind of control the conversation. So if you ask a question, I'm not caught off guard. I can take time, respond in the right way. I think this didn't make it to my list till just now. I think there is a vulnerability inside strong families because there's high levels of trust.
Yeah.
And so it is, hey, I can be vulnerable or open with my family
Right.
because there's a high level of trust.
Right. Yep. I would not recommend an unscripted podcast like we do if you don't want to control, because Derek fires off questions to me all the time on here and I'm like, I don't know. But yeah, there is a level of vulnerability. I think that's really cool that you brought that up.
But vulnerability is only okay if there's a high level of trust.
Right.
So I didn't put trust, but I'm putting trust now.
I have trust on mine.
I believe it. Why do you have trust?
Because I have trust. Okay. Fully trusting your family members. Do we trust each other with our hearts?
Mm-hmm.
Do we trust each other with our vulnerabilities? Do I trust you with my life?
Mm-hmm.
I think trust is paramount to a strong family because you can go to bed and know, okay, for instance, I feel like, was it a month ago or two, we had some cash out on the island and I don't know how much it was, maybe $100. I don't know how much it was, and go to sleep. And then we wake up and naturally the money is still there on the island. And Derek made the point of like, isn't it great that like we go to sleep and we're not worried that our children are swiping our cash from us, like, hey, do I trust you with my life, my resources? Trust is up there, like a high ranking
I agree.
aspect.
I think there's also not just, I don't know how to put it into words. I think there's different types of trust, right? Like, are you reliable? Can I trust on you? Not just trust you, but can I trust you to do it you say you're going to do?
Right.
Are you reliable? Are you trustworthy? Are you faithful? These are all different levels of trust. I have authenticity on mine, and I think that's kind of a subcategory of trust because I think when I think of strong families, they are people who do what they say they're going to do. Right. And that's authenticity because I think posing or pretending or trying to be something in the family or promise this and then not follow it, nothing repels the next generation. Nothing repels relationships more than like posing,
right?
Inauthenticity. Hey, I can't trust you.
Yeah. It's almost like a lip service or talking to itching ears. And I think the scriptures tell us, like, let your yes be yes, let your no be no.
That's right.
Be diligent in that. And obviously you can have grace. Like if you've said no to something and then you have a change of heart, that's okay. But when you say to someone, I'm not going to tell whatever you've said and tell, okay, that breaks trust. Or I'm going to be there to pick you up on time. And then you get busy doing your own thing. Like that breaks trust. And so let your yes be yes and let your no's be no. If you say, hey, I am not going to do this. I am not going to falter in this way. Don't falter in that way.
I agree.
Yep.
I agree. Trust. I didn't put it down. I put all the things around it, but now I have it down.
Okay, great. I'm glad it's on your list now.
What else do you have?
Okay, I have humility.
Okay.
Did that make it to your list? Nope. Okay, Philippians 2:3-4 says, do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interest, but also to the interest of others. I think if we are a self-centered person, it's hard to have a strong home because when we're self-centered, it's like, here's my agenda and get behind me in my agenda. Instead of like this one says, hey, give preference to, or actually that was the Romans verse. Don't look to your own interest, but also to the interest of others. So humble and not prideful and puffed up and I want it my way.
I agree. That's a good point. Didn't make it to my list. Maybe it should have.
Oh, we might want to write it down.
Hey,
God trust me there.
These are great. Like this goes back to our first point though. I think these are great family values inside a home and I want to keep exploring them, but these are aspects that make a good home, make a strong home, make a strong family so that families can live on purpose. Because if you don't have these and if you don't have a vision or if you don't have values or you don't know where you're going, some of this stuff is good to have, but it's so present focused that it doesn't take you to the next level as to, well, this is why we need this because we want this as an outcome. this is our goal. This is our desired. And families probably have that. They probably have just never communicated that,
Right.
clarified that, written it down, communicated it to each other, and said, hey, guys, this is why we have these things.
Yeah.
This is where we're going.
Yeah, that's right. I'm going to piggyback on humility.
Okay.
Because I also have forgiveness
Okay.
on my list because we're human and we make a whole lot of mistakes. Like as much as we try to get it right, we make mistakes as parents, as siblings, as children, whatever our role is. And I'm all of those, and I make mistakes in all of those aspects. And so I think when we are humble, and we are willing to humble ourselves and seek forgiveness. I really didn't know how to ask for forgiveness when we were first married. Derek actually taught me that because I would do something that would offend him, and whatever I did, it was offensive. And he would say, "You need to apologize." To which I would say something like, "Well, I'm sorry that you got your feelings hurt." It's like, that's not an apology. And you taught me that. Like you have shown me how to seek forgiveness and to really feel remorse and repentance, and I think so much we can put, in that puffed up way, in that prideful way, and not humility. I'm sorry you got your feelings hurt. I'm sorry you misunderstood me. I'm sorry. And we put all the inflection on the person rather than like, oh gosh, I am so sorry that my actions conveyed a message. I did not intend that. And in teaching me how to seek your forgiveness, you led me to the Lord's forgiveness, because when I would truly come to you and like, okay, I am sorry. I'm owning it. I am remorseful of it. You would forgive me like that. Like, okay, I forgive you. And I just remember having this light bulb of like, oh my gosh, that's how God forgives me. Because it's so hard to imagine God's forgiveness when all you experience is man's forgiveness. And man, we keep our little Rolodex, and hey, in 2018, remember when you did this, recalling stuff from 7 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever. And so just when you look in the scriptures and like, okay, God, like from the east to the west, so far as he removed our transgression, like, thank you for teaching me how to seek forgiveness. And I think that forgiveness is a huge component of a strong family.
I think it is too. Thanks for those kind words, babe.
Did forgiveness make it on your list?
No, it did not. I think your list is much longer than mine.
You may not have to ask for forgiveness as much as I do, is probably why it didn't make it on your list.
But I think forgiveness is great. I think forgiveness is right, because it is, I think a lack of forgiveness inhibits relationship, because somebody's holding on to bitterness and resentment and unforgiveness, and it inhibits them from going deeper or farther into a relationship. Yeah. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And I appreciate you bringing up the other aspect of like extending the forgiveness. Like here I've sought it, and then the extension of it, because, people can seek our forgiveness and we can still harbor ill feeling or whatever, or, let that bitter root come up. And so thank you for pointing that out.
True. Gary Chapman has the 5 love languages. Well, he also has a book about the 5 different apology languages, which all relates about forgiveness and how we either want forgiveness or extend forgiveness. And people have different ways in which they forgive, which is really interesting too, because I don't know if over time we have come towards the same type, hopefully, or if we still miss. But there are 5 types of forgiveness. I'm going to try to remember them here. One is asking for forgiveness, like just clearly, will you forgive me? Number 2 is make restitution. And these are in no particular order. Yeah. Make restitution, which is I'm going to fix it. If I broke it, I'll buy you a new one. If I like broke something, I'm going to fix it. 3 is showing regret or remorse. One of those 2. I think it's remorse. I actually really am truly sorry. 4 is planned change. So because I hurt your feelings, here's how I'm going to make sure I don't do it again in the future.
Oh, that's good.
And then there's the 5th one. What is the 5th one?
I haven't read the book, so I cannot
remember the 5th one. But anyways, it's it's really helpful
Uh-huh.
to understand how somebody wants or seeks forgiveness, because we were with a family one time and his top two were like show remorse and ask for forgiveness. And her top two were make restitution and plan change.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so they would just be on this axle of, he's like, look, I think the fifth one is like admitting fault,
Okay.
recognizing fault.
Mhm.
And so he's like, look, I screwed up. I hurt your feelings. I am sorry. Will you please forgive me?
Mhm.
And she's like, hey, I know you screwed up.
Yeah.
Otherwise we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Right.
I want to know how you're going to how it's going to not happen again in the future.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I'm going to rely on the Lord, and I'm going to do my best. And she's like, I don't care about your best. You screwed up once. How are you going to make sure that it doesn't happen again?
Right.
And they would get in this cycle. And he's like, you're supposed to forgive me. And she's like, well, I can't forgive you if I can't protect myself to make sure it's not going to happen again in the future. And so I think families, couples, people can get on this axle of, hey, they're not speaking the same language when it comes to forgiveness. Because what she wanted is different than what he was giving.
Right.
But he thought he was giving the right thing, and she thought she was expecting the right thing.
That's right. Yeah. And I think no one wants an apology that's like Groundhog Day. Like you continue in the same behavior, you
Yeah.
continue inflicting the same pain, and yet you circle back around. Okay, I'm sorry. And then you continue in that same behavior.
And that's what she said. And at one point she said, I feel like you're just giving me lip service. You're saying sorry, but I don't see any change. So what does it even matter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
Okay.
That's good.
What else do you have on that list?
I have grace. I think that we have to give a lot of grace because we're all human. And so I think when we have this expectation that no one's ever going to screw up, no one's ever going to let us down, no one's ever going to get in a bad mood, whatever those things are, like just fully extending grace the way that God has given us grace, that he doesn't give up on us. When you go over these things that we have, okay, commitment, that's God's fully committed to us. God is forgiving with us. God is trustworthy. All these things that we're hitting on are him. And so I think that the way that he extends grace to us, like we can't be stingy with it when we know our great need of it. And so extending it to others.
It's good. I like grace. I need grace. That's for sure. What's next, babe? What do you got? Your list is way longer than mine.
I'd love to go over your list.
Well, mine would take about 10 seconds.
Okay.
So
I
we need a
put
longer
forbearance on here from Ephesians 4:2, with all humility and gentleness, with patience, bearing with one another in love. Did forbearance make it on your list?
Not. No.
Okay. So, and I think everything circles back like this: forbearance. Okay. Commitment. I'm fully committed to you. I'm going to endure with you. Not giving up, not throwing in the towel, not, turning our backs on each other. Forbear, endure, fight.
I like it.
Okay. I want to hear something off of your list.
Okay. I have fun. Okay.
I like that.
I think strong families have fun together. I can't think of a family that is miserable when they're together, yet they are super strong. Just doesn't work. It just doesn't work, right? Yeah. Like I think strong families have fun together, and fun looks different. Yeah. Fun doesn't have to be what you and I, as the Englands, think is fun, or what the Williams or the Jones or Smith or whoever, like what they think is fun is fun. Yeah. And I think paying attention to that and understanding that individuality as a family, and I know those don't really go together because individuals are individual, but like, hey, your family's culture is your family's culture. I guess uniqueness as a family culture is great. So if your family has fun doing this and nobody else does, who cares?
Right.
Go do it and have fun.
Right.
I think fun is important.
I have shared experiences, which I think plays into fun.
But they could be shared miserable experiences.
But I'm talking about a strong family.
Yeah.
So it's a shared experience that is a good one.
Okay, got it.
That is a good one.
Great.
But I think when you have a shared experience, there's family involvement. You're sharing the same moments. You're sharing the same memories. there's usually a close proximity.
Mhm.
If you are
Mhm.
sharing this, you're on a vacation together, you are having a movie night together, whatever it is, you're sharing time, and hopefully they're fun. And I love that you put fun on your list. I think that's great because life can be heavy.
It is.
It is.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
You will go through challenges and troubles and heavy stuff in life.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Yep. So fun. I would add like laughter onto that,
Yeah.
like just joy.
I agree. Okay, back to you. What do you got?
I have love. I feel like love is so important. I put it 3 times. I even capitalized one, all caps. Love, love, love.
What type of love?
Love. Well, I mean, I think, it would probably be agape love, like brotherly affection.
That's what Romans talked about at the beginning, right?
I put in 1 Corinthians 16:14, let all you do be done in love. That is a hard passage for me. Let all you do be done in love. I bought these bracelets from Hobby Lobby. They were like paper bracelets, like you'd get into a carnival or something, and they were solid color. And so I wrote this verse on my wrist, and I had love really big, and then it just said 1 COR 16:14. And if you try to really live that out, let all you do be done in love. I remember wearing this bracelet, and I pulled into our garage, and maybe I was up a little too far or a little too close to your car or whatever. And I knew you would not be pleased with the way that I parked. And so I make eye contact with this bracelet. I'm like, oh, let everything I do be done in love. Okay, well, that includes parking my car in the garage. So I didn't want to, but I reversed that thing and then, get it in there, straighten it up. And I probably had a little bit more beef with this one because we had been living in our home for a decade before you let me know there was like designated parking places in the garage.
Everybody knows this.
Well, no, I don't think you let a person go 10 years without telling them. And so,
everybody knows this.
and the way I found out was one of our kids, and I'm not going to rat them out ever, said, hey, the way you park in the garage drives Dad crazy. And I'm like, what do you mean the way I park in the garage? Like I just pull the car in. As long as my tail end is in and I'm not going to be hit by the garage door, I felt like it was safe.
It doesn't work that way.
But apparently there was this decade-long rule that I didn't know existed.
You broke it so many times.
Well, that's okay. I didn't know it existed. But anyways, that's a hard one. Let everything you do be done in love. And so, yeah, if you have to reverse that car to straighten it back up, to show honor to someone, to say, hey, I hear you. I see you. What's important to you is important to me. Back the car up.
Yep.
Straighten it back up. Get into the imaginary lines.
They are not imaginary.
Yes, they are.
They are very real.
No, because apparently you can go too close to his car. Yes. He didn't like. If you can still get the door open, I feel like that's fair game.
Didn't work.
So,
I'm gonna put a tennis ball up and hang it. So you
I've seen a lot
ball,
of
hit the. Yeah. Put a board down ahead. You got to park in the board.
I had a neighbor. I'd run that board over. I had a neighbor that had the tennis ball. I remember because I think she got up a little too close, so it was like her caution. But yeah, love's a big one on my list. I don't think we can do much without love.
True. I agree.
And I think we have to love like Christ, and love in the hard, and love in the easy, and love when we don't feel like it, and love when we feel unloved, or love when we feel like someone's not being very lovable. It's the thing that endures.
I agree.
And I think you could have a whole episode on love, just because you think of the Word of God, and I'm just inundated with scriptures. So, did love make it on your list?
No.
Okay.
But I love you.
I love you.
Okay. Memories made it on my list. I think about, if I look, I don't think like a lot of yours are emotions. Emotions didn't make it on my list.
That's because I'm a feeler.
I know. And I'm a thinker.
Yeah. So that's why they didn't come on your list.
Memories. I think memories, and you talked about shared memories, shared experiences. But I think more than just shared experiences as a subcategory of fun, I think memories and purposefully pursuing memories makes a strong family.
That's good.
And it doesn't have to be expensive memories. We have friends who every year they take everybody in the family, they go, they take their kids, they take their grandkids to a specific place
Mhm.
every year,
Mhm.
and whoever can make it can make it.
Yeah.
Like there's no pressure. It's not obligatory.
Mhm.
That's a memory, but that's a high memory.
Mhm.
Okay. Maybe it's a tradition.
Right.
I think tradition memories are important
Mhm.
to build relationship and make a strong home because it supports those family values of this is who we are.
Mhm.
I think sometimes as a thinker, I have to make a conscious decision or effort to say, hey, I'm willing to give up some of this to have some of that, because everything has an opportunity cost. So I'm willing to give up some financial margin
Mhm.
to have some memories
Yeah.
as a family and to do this.
Mhm.
Or I'm willing to give up some time margin to invest in memories and to be purposeful as a family.
Mhm.
Did memories make it on yours?
It did not, but I do have shared experiences, so I would kind of bucket that underneath your.
Mm.
Well, I would. I think memories is great, babe. I think it's really good. And we have a couple sets of friends that take their kids, their grown adult kids and their families on vacations and everything. And obviously that's like a goal of mine because I see the fruit in it. But I understand like some people don't have the financial margin for it. Some people don't have the time margin for it.
Yeah.
It could look like Friday night, pizza night, and playing
Mhm,
cornhole in the
mhm,
backyard.
mhm.
It doesn't have to be, like you're saying, extravagant or expensive. It just has to be purposeful.
Exactly. Exactly. And it doesn't end when your kids turn 18 or leave the house or have a family of their own.
Yeah.
Be a family on purpose that for the rest of your days,
Yeah.
you are intentional about making memories and prioritizing memories in a family.
Yeah. I think I'm reminded of my mom, like the pizza night and everything, because from her kids and grandkids, she calls it her 13. And like, hey, one of them, was in the military and man alive when she's on leave and she comes home. Like it is, what can we do to make those memories
Right.
together? And we're all grown, we're all adults. But it's like Mammy showing up with pizza
Yeah.
and we're gonna have games because she's purposed in that. Hey, I want that family time. I want to
Yes.
get my unit together. Let's have a shared memory, like you're
Well,
saying.
and to Mammy's point, she picked up the pizza.
Oh yeah.
Because she didn't want to burden anybody else
Yeah.
with, hey, she was willing to give up some financial margin to make sure that the memories happen. And she wasn't trying to burden anybody else with, hey, can you afford dinner? Can we go out to eat at this place or that place?
Right.
And somebody who couldn't afford it, would, hey, I can't, it's not in the budget.
Yeah.
That's okay. If you're in a position to lend or extend to cover somebody else so that they can be part of the memories, man, do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah. It blesses everybody,
Sure.
not just that person, but if anyone was lacking from that group, I think everyone's like, oh, why aren't they here? I wish they were here.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Back to you. What do you got?
I think we just left off of me.
No, I made memories.
Oh, memories. Okay. I've got just a handful more, but I think a lot of mine grouped together. Like honesty, I'm just going to put that in the bucket of trusting. I think having each other's back.
Okay, what does that mean and what does that look like?
That means that we are in it to the end with someone. I have your back. Man, if there is a struggle, I've got your back. You're not in this alone and you're never going to be alone ever.
Is that different than commitment?
It probably goes underneath that same, but what do you think?
I think it probably is a subcategory.
Okay.
But that's my linear brain categorizing things.
Well, my feeler brain says no. Man, commitment. I think there's commitment and support and,
I think having their back is also reliability.
Yeah.
Which is trust.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a commitment trust kind of a thing. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll skip that one. I just have two remaining. Time. I think that every strong family, every strong home, they spend time together.
Yeah.
I don't think you can be strong without having time. And whether that's face to face or those verbal conversations or
FaceTime.
I was just about to say FaceTime. Putting in time.
Yeah.
Because I think we live in a world right now that's just don't have time. I don't have time. I
Mhm.
don't have, tries to indoctrinate us
Mhm.
with we don't have time when you don't have time not to invest in your family.
Is there anything else time should be used for? Like, isn't investing in your family the number one best use of your time?
Right. Right. Yeah. It's true. Mhm.
So the world wants us to spend our time on everything else,
Right.
but we need to spend our time. A buddy and I in college came up with a quote: "You always get change when you spend your time." Think about that for a second.
I like that.
There's a couple different puns in there, a couple different layers.
Right.
Think about it.
Yeah.
You
Need a
always,
t-shirt.
you always get change when you spend your time.
Mhm.
We thought we were pretty smart coming up with that at 19 and 20.
I agree. I agree.
One that I have is community. I think
Okay.
strong families have community.
Mhm.
They have people outside their home. And not say you can't be a strong family and have no community. I guess you could, but when I think of the strong families that I know, they all have great communities. Dad has friends, mom has friends, kids have friends,
Mhm.
and they're working together with other groups of friends, whether it's church groups or individual friends. Now you get to meet Boaz. Um,
He's gonna hop on the couch for just a little nap. A little nap. There we go,
there
buddy.
you go. There's Bo. Um, Community. I think community is a key aspect in strong families. So if you don't have community, go build one because everybody needs it.
Yep.
Sometimes you need an external voice. And where is it in Proverbs that says, an abundance of counsel leads to wisdom? Don't we all want wisdom?
Yep.
Don't we all want direction? Maybe it's community that's a few steps down the road or community that's a few steps behind you on the road that you can pour into. Sawyer, our neighbor is a grandparent, had their grandkids for 3 or 4 or 5 days and asked Sawyer to come over and babysit. Like that's community.
Yep, that's right.
For them and for us. Sawyer gets to pour into these little kids, which she absolutely loves and she's fantastic at. These kids adore her and have a great time. It's a blessing to the grandparents. It's a blessing to her. It's a blessing to everybody involved to have community.
Yep. A portion that you don't know because you were out of town when she was babysitting is our neighbor came over. She's the grandmother of the grandkids, and whatever they did this week, they went to the park a few days, did things, and went out to eat and got treats and stuff like that. And she was telling me, like, oh yeah, I was talking to Sawyer about the things that she's interested in. And I was just telling the mom, like, thank you so much. Because a lot of times adults don't take the time, like adults want to have conversations with adults. And like, thank you that you showed interest in her because that is affirming and validating, like, hey, whatever's going on in your life, I want to know about it. I'm interested in you. And so I thought that was neat. Community is great.
It is great. I will say this neighbor, she's a grandma. Her mom was in town. Remember this? And she's what, in her late 80s, maybe?
Yeah, she's the cutest thing.
And Sawyer, they invited you and Sawyer over for tea, but Sawyer walked in and the grandma, the
great grandma,
was, Sawyer, I've heard so much about you, and was immediately invested in her life and interested. And it just meant the world to her.
Yeah, it did. And I brought that up this week as our neighbor was over, and I was like, when your mom was in town, because she was like, Sawyer, what do you want to do when you grow up? And those are questions that she's typically not asked by adults. And so she said, then our neighbor saying, my mom, she was like a rapid fire with all her questions. And I was like, Mom, shut up. And I was like, no, she absolutely, Sawyer loved having that interest. And so, hey, if you're a parent, show interest to your friends' kids. And our neighbor, this whole episode's turning into, hey, Jackie. But our neighbor said, oh yeah, that's my parents for you. That's my mom. She said, there were 4 siblings and they would have their friends come over. And she said they always knew exactly what was going on in the friend's life, to the point where a friend would show up and the certain sibling that they weren't they were coming to see wasn't home, they say, "Oh, sorry, my brother's not home." Okay, well, are your parents home? And so, man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, and when you say, there's going to be someone that's farther ahead of you, there's
Mhm.
going to be someone who's behind you. That's the Paul and Timothy
Mhm.
mentality of, man, we need the counsel, and then we need to counsel others,
Mhm.
because I think so many times the enemy uses isolation. And I know that through motherhood. I can't speak on you as being a dad or being a husband, but like, I remember struggling, having a rough day with the kids and like, oh, I'm exhausted or whatever. And like the enemy's like, I felt lies of like, every other mother can do it.
Mhm.
Why can't you? You're the only mother that is struggling with this. And ours was just because they were back to back and I had 2 under 2 and my hands full. And
It's because raising kids is difficult.
right. It was never about like their behavior issue. It was just like,
Oh.
man, my hands were super full. But then when you get to talk to other moms, they're like, oh my gosh, thought I was going to die, doing this. And so, just how normal that you are. Or
Yeah.
for me, when I see a young mom and she's exhausted and saying, hey, you're normal. I was there. I know that exhaustion, but you're going to get through it. I promise you. Like
Right.
that baby is going to start sleeping through the night. So community is really great.
Yeah,
Awesome
I think
job on
community is good. It's something you said, hey, if you are a parent or a grandparent and pour into the kids, there's a pastor that says, look, there's nothing that one of our friends can really buy us that we couldn't go buy ourselves or
Mhm.
choose for ourselves. So the way you could show the greatest love to me is to love on my kids.
Mm.
That shows
Yeah.
me great honor and it blesses them. And it's like, that's the best way that you could love me is to love my kids well.
Mhm.
And he, the pastor, made the point, that's how God feels too.
Mhm.
There's
That's
nothing
good.
we could give God that he couldn't get for himself or do for himself. But when we show love to one of his other children, that shows him honor, respect, and blesses the person. Like that's a great way to love the Lord.
Yeah.
So I
I
think
agree.
community plays into that in a major way.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Do you have any more on your list?
I don't think so.
Okay. I just have one last one, which probably goes in the feeler bucket as well.
Okay.
It's 2 words. We can narrow it down to one. I just have stability and security.
Okay.
What does that go under? Commitment? I don't know. But I think that a strong family is stable. It doesn't mean that we're not going to be battered with things, but it means that we're anchored. Like I know when I come home, you all are here for me.
Mhm.
No matter what chaos in the outside world is raging against us or persecution that we're enduring, I know that I can count on you and the kids. This is like a safe haven.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
I come in here, the rest of the world disappears. I know that all of these things, I'm met with grace. I'm met with forgiveness. We are
Mhm.
forbearing with each other. We are loving with each other. We trust each other.
Mhm.
It's just that safe place, that security and stability.
It's good. I like it.
What do you have to say about that?
Nothing. I like it. I think it's great. I think you're right. I think family should be a stable and secure place. I mean, as we think about needs of a man, needs of a woman, needs of a kid, for moms, for women, their greatest needs are love and security. So it would make sense, one, that you would say this, and two, most families have a mom or a daughter or somebody, like there's somebody in there that needs love
Mhm.
and security.
Yeah.
Like, let's make sure it is a place of stability and security. Volatile homes, I don't think, make for a strong family.
Yeah.
I don't know what mood dad's going to be on, which
Right.
dad I'm going to get, or if he's going to be rough or like,
Mhm.
that's not what you want.
Yeah.
Not what you want.
Yeah.
Just always be rough. I'm kidding. That's a joke. Anything else you want to add to this?
That's it. I would say, how would you encourage a family to live on purpose to have a strong home?
It's a great idea. I think it begins with understanding who God created you to be, having a vision of who you want to be, and you probably have it in your brain right now in some way. But perhaps it's never been communicated together as a family. Hey, this is what I envision our family being like. This is what I'm striving towards. This is who we want to be or become as a family. So if you've never done that, I would encourage you to sit down, have a conversation. And the way I tell everybody as I meet them on the street or at a conference or something is, hey, what's your family all about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's your family all about? And just ask that question at a meal. What are we all about? And see where the conversation leads, and then add your perspective in there. The truth is, it is possible, and you have the potential, if you're not already a strong family, to be a strong family.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are a strong family, you can get stronger, right? You can use that to build community and to pour into others, and use that strength that others can lean on to grow and build strength in their family. So this is not a sponge. This is not a fill yourself up and don't pour out and just get like, we need to pour ourselves out. We need people ahead of us, people with us, and people behind us that we can build. What would you say to people?
I would say we hit on several aspects of what makes a strong home from your list and from my list. And I would say take an evaluation, whether you look at the show notes and the transcripts or are jotting down notes, like ask yourself, take a pulse on your family. Hey, are we all committed to each other? Are we all seeking forgiveness and walking in humility? Are we having fun? Are we making memories? Do we have community? Evaluate your family and pick a handful that you could work on little by little.
So yeah, take these things that we talked about today and just, hey, put them on a sheet of paper. I would say put it at your dinner table and just ask, hey, guys, do we have strong relationships? Do we have strong, let me find something on yours, humility, trust, honesty, love, love, love?
Yeah, all caps.
All caps. Love, love, love.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you parking in your garage the right way?
That's the biggest question of the day.
Yeah. And if you find yourself saying, oh, no, we are not a forgiving family. We are not a family that is intentional and purposeful to make memories together or are focused on our relationships. God can do anything. So pray, God, I give you our family. I give you every one of us. And I pray, God, you make us a strong family. Show us how. So you're not in this alone. You have the Lord, who I believe wants every family to be strong, who I believe wants generations changed for his glory and his kingdom.
I agree. Guys, thanks for joining us today. Family on Purpose and how to make a strong family. Hopefully some of the stuff that we've talked through has helped you or given you ideas or given you another aspect on how to be a family on purpose. We believe you can, and take the next step. Begin today, and it's step by step. This is not an arrival process. This is a process. So thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.